What is up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We're back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable ideas, insight, and inspiration to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom and become the rock star agent in your market. And we have a ton of really great questions that we're going to cover today, and we'll see where the show takes us because we are on a holiday. This is Martin Luther King Day. Our guest was not able to make it, and so we are always, as always, prepared to do a Q&A solo show, just me and the Junior Grandmaster in the co-pilot seat. Greg McDaniel, what's up today?
What up, Johnson Face? Hey, man, I'll tell you one thing. So my dad and I, the Grandmaster and he and I went this last weekend, and we have a 23-foot Malibu ski boat that our family owns. Beautiful boat, built in 2005, and I exploded the engine on it in 2013. Literally exploded the engine. As I was driving down the waterway and at about 75 miles an hour, all of a sudden, dead in the water. Long story short, so we haven't seen this boat in about 3 years or so, and 3 or 4 years, give or take. And so we've been dicking around with getting it fixed so we can get it back out in the water, so on and so forth. And my dad and I, very self-proclaimed, we were not very handy at all. I'll hire a motherfucker for something that I can do. Like, I think I own a couple of screwdrivers in there. I think I own like 5 screwdrivers. That's it. And no hammers.
It's important to be able to put together IKEA furniture just to have a couple of backups on hand.
That's why I have it, Matt. That's why I have it. And so we were driving along on the boat on Saturday afternoon, mid-morning afternoon, and all of a sudden we blow out one of the tires.
Okay. And
we're like, oh, shit, what are we going to do? So we pull over to the side of the road, and I look at him, he looks at me, we're like, AAA? Yes, AAA. So we call AAA, the guy comes out, this is what you don't tell to your clients, okay? The guy comes out, looks at the boat, looks at the trailer, I look at it mathematically, I'm like, we're fucked. That thing is not going to fit on the back of that flatbed. It's just not going to happen. And he says to us several times, very, very joyfully, this is my first time ever loading a boat. I'm like, what? This is my first time ever loading a boat. I'm like, you're hoisting like an $80,000 boat on the back of your trailer, and then you're going to ride on one of the most dangerous roads in the entire Bay Area, and you're saying it so happily. So, and then if you know a boat, Matt, boat trailers, they have that little.
I know them intimately well.
Exactly,
yes,
I know.
My family grew up on the waters of Lake Nannagasket or whatever the hell. Yeah. No, I don't know anything about boats, Greg, for the love of all that's good and holy.
Okay, so
how is a boat transported?
You got to get new tires. But AAA doesn't get new tires. They don't bring new tires. They'll just tow you. Well, we can't tow a fucking trailer, right? Okay. So the guy tried to load it on, and I'm sitting there going, oh, my God, we are going to – the front tiny little wheel stand thing that holds the whole boat up is just going to pop off and it's going to nosedive into this thing. So Terry and I were like, okay, we're just going to go get a new tire. We're just going to go get a new tire. In our genius infinite wisdom, we did not bring the rim with us. So what do you need with a tire? You can get a tire and a rim. Our dumbasses were just going to go get just the fucking rubber tire and bring it back to the tow truck driver.
Well, of course, because you have your wheel replacement tools and stand all with you naturally, like just in the back of your Tahoe.
So we forgot to bring the rim with us, and so we got there, and the lady's like, so do you need the tire and the wheel? I'm like, fuck, yes, we need to buy one. Oh, so we finally get it out there, and then right when we had to move the truck away from the trailer to let the tow truck guy come in. Mm-hmm. There's a little cable that attaches. There's a safety mechanism that you attach to the vehicle from the trailer so that it will lock the brakes up. If the trailer comes off of the vehicle, it will land on the chains. It will pop this little brake release. It will seize up the wheels so that it will slowly come to a stop and won't crash right into you. I hadn't trailered anything in 3 or 4 years. I forgot to remove the safety latch. So when we pulled away, we ripped that off. So as we were driving to the boat dealer place where we were getting it fixed, we blew out a tire, and then we kind of had the brakes on the entire way because the brake release was put on. So
nice.
It was a 2-hour adventure turned into a 6.5-hour adventure.
Wow. Well, yeah. You know what they say. The happiest 2 days of your life, the day you buy the boat and the day you burn it to the ground.
Shut up. You're gonna come up here this summer and you're gonna go on the boat and you're gonna have a lot of fun. You're even gonna have a beer and I'm gonna make your pasty ass get a suntan.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We'll see.
Okay, Casper.
Casper, you're just as white as I am. Come on now. All right. Well, we've got a lot of great questions to answer and give our perspective on, but let's start with an easy one. This is from Stephanie in the Lead Gen Scripts and Objections group. Guys, if you're not already a member, go sign up, go add yourself and request to join that group. Stephanie says, what do you say when someone answers the phone, engages in conversation, then all of a sudden says, "Oh, I really can't talk right now," and like tries to get off the line? So, besides Greg letting an F-bomb slip, which you seem to be incapable of not doing or something like that. Like, I don't know if something's broken or you have like a mild form of Tourette's, but you just can't seem to help yourself. But other than that, assuming you're not Greg and you're not spouting profanity at every opportunity, what might cause that, Greg, on a regular phone call?
I want to kick you in the nuts one of these days.
Well, you did open the show with an MFer within 45 seconds. I do have to point
that's how I roll, homie. That's how I roll. That's Delta Rat status.
Yeah.
So just let them get off the phone. Or just say, okay, hey, I understand you got to get going. Why don't I do this? Why don't I just give you a call back tomorrow?
Okay.
Just do something like that. If they're going to get off the phone, they're going to get off the phone. But just say, okay, hey, I understand what's going on. Why don't I just give you a call tomorrow? Or I'll give you a call this week. That's how I would do it.
Okay. Well, let's talk about how you can potentially prevent that, right? Because once it comes up, I mean, there's maybe not that you can't do something about it once they've already said that. There's no magic objection handler that's going to get them to stay on the line other than, did I mention I'm from Publishers Clearinghouse? I mean, outside of something like that. But let's talk about how you can prevent that. And it sounds to me like what's happening is they are like somebody is initially engaging in the sense that they're answering and they sound like they're probably available to talk, but then you've opened your mouth and you have broken all that rapport by being really, really bad at talking with your mouth. So that's what I'm guessing is happening.
Really,
so
really
how can we
talking.
get better so that you're not sounding monotone, scripted, and generally putting people off when you first hop on the phone?
Practice. Lots and lots of practice. Just treat them as if it's a puzzle. You're trying to put it together. You're trying to figure out, what does the other person want or need? How can I help them? Go in there with a mindset of service. Like I said it 1,000 times on these shows. Get in there and see what value you can bring to their lives. Also, give them a time frame up front. Hey, Matt, appreciate you taking the time. This is going to take about 5 minutes or so. Just couple quick questions for you. So you give them a frame of time so that they don't think that you're going to sit there and try to talk their ear off all stinking day when they know, okay, in their subconscious and in the back of their mind, like, okay, this is only going to be like a few minute phone call. It's not going to be forever. It's not going to try to talk my ear off and become my new best friend. So set that precedent up front. This is who I am, where I'm from, and why I'm calling. I got 3 super fast questions for you. Boom, launch into it. So that's what I would do. I've never really run into that because if someone wants to get off the phone, just let them get off the phone. Just call them back later. That's all.
Gotcha.
Right there.
Okay.
Have fun with it. Tone up, tone down. Remember, guys, in communication, 7% is just the 7% of communication are the words. That's the actual verbiage coming out of your mouth. 38% is going to be your tonality, and 55% is going to be your body language. And since they can't see you on the phone call, 38% is going to become 100% of what they're going to see and get a feel for you. So laugh, joke, have some fun, treat them like a friend. Don't be so, sterile, like, hello, my name is Matt Johnson. I'm a real estate agent. I have a deal for you today. Click.
Wow.
That's not going to get you anywhere. That sounds horrible.
I have a deal for you today.
I have a deal for you today, good sir.
Let me tell you, I've got a quality mobile home right over 20 miles outside the city limits, and it's got your name right on it.
Literally, we spray painted it on there, sir, for you. So you can
right.
identify which one's yours. Yeah, but no. Just have fun, guys. Don't overthink it. So many people overthink doing calls and doing prospecting like it has to be boring or it has to be laborious. Why? Why does it have to be that way? It doesn't have to be that way. You make it that way. So just get out there and play a little bit, guys. If they're going to tell you to go, fuck yourself, then they're going to tell you that. But, 99% of the time, they're going to be nice, genuine, kind, loving, engaging human beings. Just anticipate a kind, lovable human being. That's all I would say. Anticipate what you anticipate you'll receive, So, because the day, like Matt and I were talking today, like he and I just did not feel like working today. I do not feel like working today. So everything I see is, damn it, I don't want to do this right now. Except for the podcast. I love doing the podcast. I love this. But I mean, in reality, that's the way I've colored my day. So I have to change my way of thinking. It's the same thing with you guys when it comes to prospecting or talking to someone on the phone. Change the way you see the communication. And then the communication you see will ultimately change, and your life will be better. It'll be rainbow, sherbet, and unicorns. That's my opinion.
Really? And sherbet. Interesting.
And
so rainbows,
sherbet.
unicorns, and sherbet. Okay.
And they ship sherbet, yes.
Good to know. All right. So, good question about today. So holidays like today, which we're dealing with it's kind of an in-between holiday because I don't think not all of your daycares are closed. It's kind of an interesting holiday, Martin Luther King Day, because it's not. I'm assuming it's a bank holiday and a government holiday, but I don't think it's one where everybody, like all businesses, are kind of shutting down. So it's not like everybody's at home sitting around. So the question is from Ryan Burke. He says, on holidays like today, do you guys still hit the phones at your normal time, or do you hold off until a little bit later? Greg, what do you think?
You know what? It's going to be different for all different parts of the country. I would if you're going to be working today, just treat it like a normal day. Just, don't call too early, don't call too late. Do what you always do. You'll probably get more people home because, it's a federal holiday.
So.
Yeah. And I wouldn't change anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. But don't change anything. Just keep doing what you're doing. And that would be my response to that on that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So, speaking of making calls, let's talk about who has a great circle prospecting drop voicemail that they are finding some success with. That question comes from Gage. So, and this is something that we talked about on our mastermind earlier this morning. But, Greg, would you like to share your super magical, 100% works every time, absolute hypnotic voicemail for circle prospecting?
Hypnotic.
Yeah. Spell binding is what I call it.
Guys, what I've found, and I saw another guy on the LGSO group doing this, and I was dumbfounded on how simple it is, and I am still dumbfounded on how many callbacks I get from doing this simple message, and it's so simple that you probably don't think it works, but it does. So here it is. Hey, it's Greg. When you get a chance, give me a ring. 925-915-1978. Thanks. Click. That's it. That is your message, because you just want to have a conversation with these people. I was thinking about, why do we tell them that we're a real estate agent in the message? That's like asking for a non-callback. I don't get any callbacks. No shit, bitch. They don't want to talk to you. And then you tell them, hi, I'm someone you don't want to talk to. Give me a call back.
That's right.
So
for me, that's the same thing as that voicemail that Greg left for me. It's all the same to me. But yeah, go ahead.
Shut up. Now you're just mean to me. You're picking on. Go pick on someone your own size.
I can't. You're like 7 inches taller than I
am. But guys,
I punch above my weight.
Just do that message, and just leave it. Hi, this is your name. When you get a chance, give me a call. Your number. Hang up. Boom, done. Because they're like, who is Greg? Why do I not know Greg? Honey, do you know Greg? Let's call him back. All right. Hi. And so then the next question is, well, what do you say when they call back? Very simple. Matt, role play with me. So you're calling me back. I just left you a message. Ring, ring, ring. Go.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, is this Greg?
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Greg, just returning your call. I think you called me yesterday.
Oh, hey, yeah, hey, I appreciate you giving me a call back. I was doing some prospecting calls. I'm a real estate agent in the area with the McDaniel Callahan team. I was just doing some outbound reaches.
Oh, sorry. Was I supposed to keep going?
Yes, they don't hang up. Thank you. They have a soul, unlike you.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And I was just doing some prospecting, and I just wanted to see if you guys might be interested in selling your home this year.
Funny that you might ask, Greg. I would love to have you over this afternoon to look at my house because I am thinking about selling. How's that? Can I give you a layup appointment?
God, you're the worst fucking role player.
Actually, I thought the first one was wildly accurate. I would never tell someone when they called back that I was doing some prospecting calls. Yep. I would tell them I had some good news for those people in the neighborhood or something like that. Like, hey, I would just call in because the person around the corner from you literally just sold. I would tell them anything but I was making prospecting calls and I'm a real estate agent.
Nope. I say it to them all the time, and I get zero pushback, and I just ask them, hey, you guys think about maybe making a move this year? And they're like, 99.999999999% of the time. Sound like I'm German there. 9. Hope you guys listening. I'm looking at Matt, and he's just laughing his butt off.
Well, Misty, who's helping us put together a speaking engagement, I think in her city or office or whatever you want to call it, is watching and says, "Click, LMAO." Love it. I thought it was very accurate. That's exactly what I would have done if I made that call and Greg opened with that. So, hey, I'm glad you don't get any pushback on it. Maybe other people do have a soul and I don't.
That's because you're Howard Hughes of real estate. You stay in your room, don't talk to people. You pee in jars, and your food gets slid in under the door.
Mm-hmm.
Agoraphobe. That's why you don't want to talk to real estate agents.
Oh my God, that's funny. All right, so Dave Frisquez has a good question. He's an upcoming guest. He says, "What are some key words that you use for every call, if there are any?" Greg, do you find yourself using common words and phrases that you pretty much use on every circle prospecting call?
No, it drives you batshit crazy because I'm always changing my script. I'm always changing it.
That actually is true. I have attempted to coach agents on scripting with you, and you are the worst.
But I'm also a master. I'm also a master at it because I'm reading the situation as fast as I possibly can. So no script is going to be exactly the same. Right. It goes back to like boating. Any of you guys know anything about boating? You have to read the water in front of you so you know if there's a rock or if there's a log or if it's going to be shallows. You can read the water. You can see what the water is doing on the top, so you know how to react to it. Same thing in calls. You're reading the water. You're getting a feel for what's coming down the road for you and how to react to it. So that's why my script isn't always exactly the same because I'm anticipating a tonality, just an energy level on the other side. So I do switch it up continuously. But I use scripts, like I've said before, Matt, as a backbone, not as like I have to hit the script perfectly. It is just a roadmap to the end goal, whatever that might be.
It is now, yeah, because you've done it for well nigh these 20 years. But I would say for people that are starting out, it's good to learn scripts. But like we've talked about it before, Greg, we consider scripts as training wheels. Like you learn the script, get the script internalized, but then once you do that, then you can start breaking out of the script and start altering it. But it is nice to have. What frustrates me about coaching agents on scripting with you is that I like to let people get comfortable with the basic script first. You want to start messing with people right off the bat, and you want to get them to the point where they're using the framework that you do. And I would like people to get comfortable with the basic script first before they start attempting to improvise. The same way if you're a musician, you start to learn chords and scales, then go off and start improvising. But you can't really improvise well unless you know what the basics are first. So Misty says, looking forward to having you guys here. We're looking forward to being there. Not in the winter, but we're looking forward to being ensconced in an indoor area where the heat is turned up very high. So that Greg is sweating all over the place while he attempts to speak. That's what I'm looking forward to. Because I will be cool and crisp as a cucumber.
Oh, Lord. When Misty's like, it was pretty hot today. It was 40 degrees. I'm like,
that's right. Everybody's running outside. Everybody in California would be hunkered down in some sort of underground bunker. If there were any here, there's not. But if they did exist, they would be in bunkers.
With heat units.
Yeah, so you don't use a lot of common keywords and phrases. I think to me, the common thing about the way that you approach phone calls, Greg, is the framework, which is that going into whatever type of call, the outcome that you want, and you're really good at steering the conversation to the next milestone. So where a lot of people get lost when they make prospecting calls, or even when they just have sales conversations or conversations about real estate with people, is they don't know when they're in the moment, in the conversation, what's the next milestone that I'm trying to get them to, whereas you know exactly what the next thing is, whether it's to talk to them about pre-qualification, talking to a lender, like that's the outcome that you want and you know how to steer people towards that, or whether it's you want to get that appointment or you want them to meet you at the home and let's get into the home and show you and then move on from there. The way that I like to think about it is to think in terms of like stages and, hey, like what's the next thing I want them to agree with me on? Right. So if they're a buyer and if you want to role play this, we can, but I've heard you do this before. Greg, if they're a buyer, then you're on the phone with them. Your next step isn't to get them to like set up 10 showings with you. Your next step is you want them to agree that they need to talk to a lender, preferably yours.
Yeah. I mean, if they're buyers, absolutely. It's like, are you pre-approved? Okay, you are or you're not. Great. If you are, can I please have your lender's information so I can talk real estate with them? Just have a conversation. If they're not, with your permission, I'm going to pass on your information so that you can talk to my lender, Casey Dorlich, who's been in the business for 18 years, and he's the best I've ever found. I'm going to have him call you again with your permission. Is that okay? They say yes. I get them connected. I wait till I hear back from Casey. Are they full of shit, or can they actually do the deal? And then as soon as I get them pre-approved, then we're out the door. But I don't want to show people unless they're pre-approved. I just won't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a way. That's just a rookie mistake right there. Sorry, all you new agents, but it literally is a rookie mistake. You will drive around and they will abuse the shit out of your time, and you will ultimately, at the end of the day, probably not get them into something because they couldn't have fucking afford it. And you showed them that really nice house that they just loved, and that kitchen was perfect. That backyard was amazing. And then it's just, a fraction out of their comfort zone on affordability and monthly payments, and now everything is that kitchen. I just want that kitchen. I just wish we could get that kitchen. It's like, fuck, dude. Waste all my time.
It's so human nature, right? We always want that thing that's 10 or 20% out of our price range. So if you show a buyer a home and like it hits everything on their list, chances are it's out of their price range because that's just human nature. Like we're always looking like just out of our price range. So if you're showing them homes, or if you show them a home and they love it, you're probably screwed. That's the bottom line. Now that's not always the case. I mean, hopefully they can fall in love with a home where they know there's some things that they're going to have to adjust to, and they can see past it and love it anyway. I mean, that's the ideal. But it is kind of fun, something funny to think about, which is if you show them a house and they love it, you're like, oh crap.
Nutsos. I mean, right. I mean, there's a one way around that. I mean, we always use the rich uncle theory. I mean, if you did do that and they absolutely have to have this house and they just can't do it, well, then think a little bit more creatively. And we always say, hey, look, we call it the rich uncle program that can maybe give you a little bit more down, or might go in as a silent investor on it, put some more capital behind you so you can get into that property, something along those lines. But try not to get in that situation, guys. Try to keep people keep their feet on the ground when it comes to realistic expectations of buying and selling. Matt, since we're talking about scripts, let's talk about this script. A lot of the times I talk with the other agents out there, and they are like, oh my God, this deal is a nightmare. My clients were a nightmare. The other agent was a nightmare. So I head those types of conversations off right at the front. And I got so tired of having these conversations with buyers and sellers when they're just livid at me because something didn't go exactly their dream way in the deal, or their ego got damaged from the other side doing a request for repairs or whatever they did, right? I tell them this. I say, Matt, Julie, I look forward to working with you guys, but you know what? There's going to be 3 stages of this transaction. And everyone smiles and giggles at this moment anyways because it's so exciting to do buying and selling real estate.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Yeah, and so I tell them this. I'm going to say, you're going to love me in the beginning. Somewhere in the middle, you're going to hate me, and then you're going to love me at the end. No, we're never going to hate you, Greg. I'm like, hang on to that thought there, Tiger. And then right when the shit hits the fan, I'll turn to them, and I'll be like, so this is the point where you hate me, isn't it? Remember I talked about this? And they're like, no, we don't hate you. We're just really frustrated. And that kind of deflates the tension in the room if there was any at that moment. And you know what? I also do that to the agents as well, so that I can have that conversation with them. And it's all tongue in cheek and laugh, and everyone's having a good time with it. It really does help the situation because shit's gonna hit the fan. We all know that, especially in real estate. I mean, I've never gone through a deal that doesn't have some sort of issue at some point in the deal. Every deal is a wrinkle, pimple, and a smile. We just need to figure out what the wrinkle and the pimple is going to be, so that we can adjust them and move forward the show. Glenn Twiddle, what up, playa? We got all kinds of people coming on.
He claims he's just getting up. I don't know if I believe that. I think he may still be just either he had a few drinks or was working late or something like that from the pre. I'm pretty sure it's like 3 a.m. or something, some ungodly hour in Australia right now. Why is Glenn watching?
Well, he's in Fiji.
In Fiji. Oh, interesting. Glenn, man, world traveler. Okay.
The Fijian.
That's right. All right, so Dave has another follow-up question. I asked what our thoughts are on NLP and framing, which we were talking about a little bit earlier. So I'm curious, Greg, have you delved into, or has the Grandmaster, your father, delved much into studying NLP?
I'm sure he has. I've never really talked to him about it. I mean, I think NLP is a not a bad way to go. It's how to understand a conversation and how to, lead with it and how to control, communications. I don't have any problem with that. I think it's a very good thing to learn. I mean, education of any form, except for Satanism. We don't really want to learn about Satanism. But, and that's one thing we can pass on.
How dare you? I know at least 3 very nice Satanists, Greg.
You would as a pastor's son. Of course
people.
You do.
That's right.
Yes, they do. They do human sacrifice and all. They're so nice.
That's right.
They call it population control, but that's just really sacrifice.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they only sacrifice the dumb people, so I'm all right.
I have some high school girlfriends that probably fall in that category.
Oh, man.
Okay, so, education. I mean, I think would be the best thing. NLP is a framework. And Matt, what's that book? Oren Clef. Pitch Anything. He talks about how to create a frame, strengthen a frame. You can collapse another person's frame.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about mindset. Go read that book.
Yeah.
Pitch Anything is a phenomenal book, guys. Phenomenal book. Matt, what are your thoughts? I mean, I know that you kind of have where do you land on NLP?
Well, I've read more about it, and of course I've taken Joel Rico's Language of Agreement, which is phenomenal. Yeah. Here's where it will trip people up. So NLP is really good when you're first starting out, if you can start incorporating elements of it, and the one that you mentioned, Greg, is probably the best one, the frame. Just understanding how to put the conversation and set the right context or set the frame for the conversation that you're having. Mm-hmm. When you start getting really into the nitty-gritty of NLP, like the strategic pauses and the differences in wording and phrasing and things like that, like it's all good, but it's like we talked about with scripts earlier. Like you got to really, like you have to have 10,000 hours of mastery for it to come off smoothly and really work the way that you want it to naturally in conversation. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself like flowing disjointedly in and out of NLP techniques and then back into like what you regularly do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like that's a stage that you go through, and I'm sure Joel went through that stage on his way to mastering it. However, it can, to me, to my ears, NLP techniques can sound very 70s and 80s style sales persuasion, and unfortunately, when it comes across that way, it sets the wrong context for the conversation, which is, I'm trying to sell you on something. Now, when you do it as smoothly as Joel does, and if you follow his example and you get to, you incorporate some of his techniques, I don't think it has quite this effect. But I've heard people that are skilled in it when, to me, I don't even want to hear them talk.
Really?
Because it sounds very 80s persuasion sales. And I'm not interested, right? So, Blake says neurolinguistic programming, for those of you that didn't know what we were talking about. So neurolinguistic programming, it's been around for a long time, I think since the 70s. And Tony Robbins got into it. I think Tony uses it for really, really good things in terms of neuroassociative conditioning and understanding your own like internal self-talk and a bunch of other stuff. So Tony Robbins stuff that uses NLP is really good, but it takes a while to get there. And to me, there's certain things that you can pull out of NLP, like framing, that can have an instant effect on the quality of your conversations without 10,000 hours of mastery, to where you can. I would rather people dive into those few things and then get into other things before they go and tackle NLP.
Yeah, just go study it. I mean, we have a couple links in here for neurolinguistic programming. Just start looking at it. Go to YouTube, watch some stuff on it. Baby step into it. You don't have to be a master of it right when you get going on it, but just go study it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Glenn makes a great point. It says NLP study, for the most part, leaves many people very self-aware and feeling very smart. So agree with you, Matt, resounding just wrong. Things like, when would now be the right time to make this choice? Where you emphasize certain words and things like that. And yeah, when you're at that middle stage where you're just incorporating it, you end up being very, very self-aware. Like you're very self-conscious of what you're saying, and it puts the focus on you and your words more than on the other person. I think if you genuinely come from a place of caring more about the other person more than you care about yourself, it naturally builds the rapport even faster than just if you say the right words, but your focus is all internal because you're trying to say the right words. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And that's what I'm kind of going all the way back to what I've always said. Come from a place of giving, not from a place of getting, whenever you're having a conversation with somebody, because if you genuinely have that ability to say, Matt, what can I do to help you? How can I bring value to you? And if that just comes out of your pores and it's just flowing out of you, people are going to pick up on it. You don't need some fancy fucking conversation techniques to get people to like you if you're really genuinely trying to help them first, because then the law of reciprocity comes back, and they're going to be chemically and mentally and emotionally bound to you to repay the favor to you. Mm-hmm. So don't try to be a mental ninja and try to work your way into their head. Just come from a heart of giving. I mean, this Ninja Sales by Larry Kendall. That book would really help you out quite a bit as well. That's a great book. And we're going to get Larry on the show.
Ninja Selling.
Ninja Selling, yeah. Ninja Selling.
Which is a phenomenal book. Good Lord, that's a good book.
Actually, I was talking to Terry about him yesterday when he and I got stuck on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna get Larry. Terry gave me Larry's cell phone, and so I'm going to call him up and get him on the show. Guys, when we get Larry Kendall on this show, tune into the show. This dude, he runs the group out in Colorado. Phenomenal. He's one of the best real estate agents I've ever seen. Yeah. And if Terry likes him, I know I like him. That's saying something.
Yeah, and that approach for like for a real estate solo practice, that's probably the best operating system for a solo practice that I've ever come across. Like if you think of the Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, like that's like the operating system for a team. Ninja Selling is like the ideal operating system for for a solo practicing real estate agent that considers himself a salesperson and maybe have an assistant. But if you're that, like that's Ninja Selling is just phenomenal for that. So I wanted to move on to a couple of questions here. Cami Shock shares, how do I implement an 8x8 and 33 touch program without spending all day writing notes and sending emails? And it's funny because I was thinking about when I stumbled on this question, I thought about Greg Harrelson, and Greg Harrelson's watching right now, and he says, give and let the law of reciprocity take place. Mm-hmm. Absolutely agree. So Greg has some interesting systems, Greg Harrelson, on the back end of his, and guys can go check out the podcast that I do with him called the Level Up Podcast to get more information on that. But Greg is a genius at designing ways that allows him to run things like those 8x8 and 33 touch programs without it taking a lot of time. Now, it takes some front-end investment, but I wanted to share just a couple of thoughts that me and Greg have about how we're all doing that and follow-up programs and stuff like that. So, Greg, why don't you share what you're doing with send-out cards?
So what I do with send-out cards, guys, if you guys haven't done it, I'll put my link in here. You guys can click on that if you want to sign up. But send-out cards is just a really good way if you have a conversation with somebody, or if you run across somebody in the street, or if what I do is I find people that are non-owner occupants, and if it's in a rental property, I'll take a picture of the front of the card, and I will send it, put that on the front of the card, and then write a little note, hey, this is the front of your investment property, not sure this is the last time you've seen it. Here's a picture of the current front of the property, just thinking if you guys are thinking about buying or selling this year, blah, blah, blah. But also, it's just a good little way to touch base. Gail, who is a hashtag BFF of mine, she is really high up in send-out cards, and she really instilled into me how to use them. And it's just by thinking about the other person, if they got a new puppy, maybe if a dog died, if a kid went to school, they had a baby, whatever kind of life moments are in their lives, just be relevant and be there and stand out and say, hey, I'm recognizing you because of blah. Or I'm here to support you because of blah. And I send those out. They have an app on your phone, or you can do it from your desktop. They're incredibly easy. You never see the cards. There's a ton of different templates you can use, but it's relevant for anything in life. And so that's why I really like send-out cards. You can personalize it as much as you want, or it can be very stock if you don't have any kind of personality. That's it.
That's funny. Dave Fresca says, love send-out cards. Yeah, so I love that idea. You can also, guys, just on the automation side of things, you don't have to necessarily step up all the way into a large program. There are smaller email programs that allow you to set up your 8x8 campaign in email and just load up kind of the emails in advance. Throw them up in there, and then once you get a new contact that you'd like to start on that program, you just literally go to that email marketing program like a MailChimp or something like that, or an iContact is another good one, and you just add their email into that follow-up campaign, and then everything else happens behind the scenes without you having to worry about it. So I did that for a few people when I was back at Viral. We had kind of a stock template And it's all based on Gary Keller's stuff and the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, guys. So it's all common sense stuff. It's just introducing yourself, letting them know where they can connect with you, sending them some educational material for both buyers and sellers, or just how you operate and how you do business and things like that, where they can connect on social media, and just basically spreading those messages into an 8-day, 1 email a day type of campaign for 8 days. You can load all those emails up in advance, and then you just drop that person into that campaign and let it run. And it doesn't really need anything from them. They don't have to be anything fancy. In fact, they're better when they're not, because you can actually make them so it looks like they came from you, at least long enough to where they open it and go, oh, this is from Matt. Great, right? And so that's super, super easy to set up. Dave says, I take photos and send cards of clients showing properties in funny poses and send them brownies. So that's an interesting idea for follow-up. I know we've interviewed Patrick Lilly on the show before, back when he was this was back, 2.5 years ago, but he was sharing his program for taking multi-million-dollar expired listings in Manhattan and Brooklyn, and a lot of it was sending brownies with a personal note. Super highly personal follow-up.
Yeah. It's the simple things in life, Matt. We all try to overcomplicate this whole business of doing real estate, when in reality, the people on the other end of that card or on the other end of that phone call, they're just another human. They like the simple things in life too. Who doesn't like a fucking fresh brownie? Okay, I mean, I will even eat a fresh brownie, and I hate sweets. I mean, with a passion, I hate sweets. But you give me a nice gooey brownie, okay, I'm in. You had me a brownie.
Oh, it's just one of the many, many ways you and I are different, Greg. How can you'd rather drink your calories than eat them? I don't understand.
Oh, well, because you get a buzz and you get fat. I mean, so instead of just getting fat. I mean, I don't understand that. Just put weight on without
I don't know.
buzz.
I get plenty of buzz from having sweets, and it's way better than the buzz I get from alcohol. All right.
Nah, we're good. If you want to bribe me, send me some booze. You want to bribe Matt, send him some chocolate chip cookies.
That's right. Or better yet, Starbucks gift cards are fantastic, because then I can buy chocolate chip cookies at Starbucks with my coffee. That is the way to get to my heart. So Greg, feel free to write that down. We've got a question here. Got a question here from Ryan Burke. This is a really good one. Do you guys try working with FSBOs that are overpriced? I was always told to stay away from them, and I'm seeing a house that's $50,000 overpriced and it's been up for 2 months. What's your opinion essentially on going after someone like that? So, and apparently this is someone that's fully on the market because they have a list price. So that they're either up on, for sale by owner website, or they have a sign and he's called, whatever the case is. This is an actual current for sale by owner with a list price that's way, way overpriced. So, Greg, what do you think? How do you handle that?
I feel like a broken record at times, but I'm going to say it again. You got to go in there and you got to figure out what their want, need, and desire is. What is the urge that they are selling this house for? It's obviously not a timing issue, because they've been on the market for a couple of months and they haven't sold and they haven't reduced their price, so there's not a whole lot of pressure probably behind them. They might be just testing the market to see what they can get out of it, kind of throwing it up against the wall and see what sticks. Mm-hmm. So I would go have a conversation with them and say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, my name's Greg. I'm with the McDaniel Callahan team here in the area. A very successful real estate team. I saw that you guys have been. I see that you guys have been on the market for a couple of months. Just wondering, how can I help you get more eyes on this house? What is the reason for you selling? So I can help you get to your end goal. Figure out what that pain point is, and then leverage that pain point. If they are overpriced, there's a reason why they're overpriced. They're not stupid. They understand that they're not selling. I mean, we have a client like that right now. They're not stupid people. They're just they're pushing their luck as far as they can to get their amount of money, because Zillow said their home was worth X. It's not worth X. Yeah. Okay. But so they're trying it at a little bit of a lower price. They know they need to reduce it, and they had admitted to the fact that they want to reduce it, but they still want to try for that one buyer that's going to come through and pay an astronomically high price for their home. Mm-hmm. Not logical, but they're doing it anyways. So I think that might be the pain. That might be an issue with the seller who is a for sale by owner that's overpriced. They could just have an ego issue involved with it, going, my home is worth this. Maybe they have a family member that told them they couldn't get what they're listed for, so you got to prove to them that they're wrong. I don't know. There's something going on there. It's your job to go figure it out, and then help leverage it and see what you can do to help them. Now, if they're just going to be like a donkey and they lock their legs and they're just not budging, Go with God, my child. You are doomed.
Yeah.
And they're going to suck away your time. So don't spend a lot of time on people who aren't realistic, because then you have a pipe dream of like, I can get them. I can get them. Well, if they don't want to be helped, then you helping does no good. You just waste your time. So,
yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I 100% agree. It depends on the market area that you're with. I mean, 50 grand overpriced is not that much in the Bay Area. 50 grand overpriced in the Midwest is, your home's going to be on the market for 17 years. So it kind of depends on where you're at. But I do agree. You never know what the actual reason is that they listed it that high. And the toughest combination, and this is when you walk away, is when they're stubborn and there's an ego issue involved and there's no need. They may want to sell. It may be nice to sell. They may be interested in selling. But if there's no need, if there's nothing forcing their hand to where they have some sort of timetable where they have to sell, and there's an ego issue involved, and I think I wouldn't say it's a lot of FSBOs, it's many. There's a good number of them out there that's the situation. Those are the ones you walk away from and move on. But until you have that conversation, you don't really know. So it's not like you can say, well, I don't go after them, they're too overpriced. That's not their price. That's just what they threw it up on the market as. Like, they're FSBOs. They don't know any better. So that doesn't mean that that's not what they would list it for with an agent.
Yeah, and they're going to say, like, well, Zillow says my home is worth blank. Great. So
Zillow also overestimated its own CEO's house by 40%.
Yes, it did. It's buffoons. But it's about education, and they're intelligent human beings for the most part. Just help them become more intelligent about the sale of a home, and then show them why using you is a better move legally, and to the fact that they probably want or need to net a certain amount of money out. That could be another pain point. Yeah. So if you can show them how to net the same amount of money by using a real estate agent, would they consider using you as a real estate agent if they can net the same? Mm-hmm. A logical person would say yes, because nobody wants another job, a full-time job on their plate if they have any kind of sanity. I mean, if they have any kids, if they're married, I mean, those are already 2 full-time jobs as well. Because you got to be a certain person to your wife or your husband, and a certain person to your kids, and a certain person to your boss, and a certain person to your clients, and you have so many hats you're wearing. Putting one more hat on top doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. So find out what the issue is and go from there.
Love it. All right, so we've got 2 super niche questions on listings coming up here in a second. But Greg, why don't we take a second to let people know how to connect with us, and then we'll dive back into a couple questions.
Guys, we're very, very excited here. Matt and I, we are now with EXP, and we are super pumped to be a part of EXP. Very, very cool group of real estate agents, guys. And we are doing a national real estate team. Matt and I are forming a team. If you guys want to be on our team, Matt, do a quick laundry list of the benefits that everybody's going to get from being on our team. Because Matt and I listed out why you should join our team. Mm-hmm. Here are a couple of the examples, Matt.
Yeah, so not only do you get everything that we've ever recorded for free, and we're talking about specifically the training programs for Rockstar Conversations, Introvert's Guide to Real Estate Sales Success, and the complete guide to real estate farming. So we're talking about 20-plus hours of real estate training that everyone that comes into the team gets for free, where you start there. You also get access to Greg's 36 to Life sessions, a 4-week training session to get you up and running quickly. You also get access to actually use Greg's own, the steel trap, Eileen herself, to run your deals from contract to close for a small fee that you can actually pass on to the client, so you can actually zero cost it for you. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, Greg, you're working on some incredible stuff with predictive seller leads behind the scenes that you can potentially get you in on, depending on your area. We're really focusing on our 5 core markets in California, where we know for sure that we'll have access, early access to those predictive seller leads, so you can be the first on the bandwagon to start working and being able to directly reach out and target the people that are the most likely to sell in the next 180 days. So that is ridiculous. Then we're going to help you with marketing. You get access to me and Greg. You get access to join our Rockstar Agent Mastermind, which means you get to watch us coach our crew of 5 people one-on-one with them, as well as do a customized time of teaching and training specific to that week. as well as questions. You can actually get your questions answered live when we're on that mastermind, whereas the show, we may have guests and we may not get to your question. When you're a part of our team, we will always have time for your question, and even if we need to jump on the phone with you at any time. So those are just a few of the things, and that's not even counting getting access to Elite Real Estate Systems live stream access with their super high def quality Wednesday, Friday dialogue and real estate sales and marketing training content and all that stuff. So that's just a quick taste. It's a little taste.
It's like this is the taste. Second time you've had to pay for it. We're drug dealers. Anyone who's listening to this in law enforcement, we're not actually drug dealers. We're information dealers. Just want to clarify that one. A little CYA there. Guys, go to Book McDaniel. It's right there on the screen. Book McDaniel. Book a 30-minute call with me, guys. Get on my calendar. Let's talk and see if we're going to be a good fit together. And if we're not, dude, I don't care. That's fine. If we are, great. Let's take this journey together. Let's really make a lot of money together and have some fun. But no matter what, we'll love you no matter what. If you guys come on or if you don't come on. But that's how you get a hold of us, Matt.
That's right. All right, guys. And then so that Book McDaniel for Greg, and then for me, if you guys just have questions about if you've been thinking about going with a coach, buying a program, whether it's ours, whether it's somebody else's, and you just need a second opinion and a little bit of advice on kind of where to take the next step to get your career or your real estate team to the next level, you can always grab a time for a quick 15-minute call on my calendar at 15.bookjohnson.com. So that is the link for me. Book McDaniel is the link for Greg if you're interested in joining the team. Those are the main things. Obviously, subscribe to the show, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher. Continue to share the show like you guys have been. We really, really appreciate that and love you guys for that. So let's dive back in. 2 more questions.
Okay.
So Dan says, client is telling me he's not committed to anyone until after the Super Bowl. How do you get them to pre-sign so that you have the house ready to go live and actually hit the ground running rather than getting them, trying to take an appointment? Like what they want to do is essentially they want to wait until even meet until after the Super Bowl to talk about getting their home up, but then it's going to be running short on time, and he wants to get them in and get them signed so that they can actually have the home ready to hit the ground running after the Super Bowl.
Right, but so it's not, I'm not sure if this is actually accurate, but it's kind of a funny way to look at the real estate market. Guys think the real estate market comes back after the Super Bowl. Women think the market comes back after Valentine's Day, because now we're just a week apart.
Okay.
But you know what? Get some flowers and chocolates to make your lady happy, and then hit the ground running. I bet you dollars to donuts that house won't come on until after the Valentine's Day. I bet you almost anything. And so if he says he's not ready to commit to anybody, does that mean that this guy already has the listing? The guy's just waiting to sign it, or is he still going to be interviewing other real estate agents? I mean, where are we on that one?
Yeah, good question.
Because it sounds as if he hasn't made a decision to go with this agent yet.
Right. Right, so, and then that's the bigger problem. But let's say that's addressed. So let's say that they know, like, you're our guy, we're going to go with you, we're just not ready to sign yet. At that point, you should be able to say, well, it's not really an issue of when we sign, because we can sign it and we can put it on the market for whatever date you guys are most comfortable with. So we really would just want to find out what's the reason you're waiting until after the Super Bowl. If it's a condition where you do have to, and it's in your best interest to wait until after then to actually put the home up on the market, that's fine. But let's get over and let's start digging into some of the things that you want to do to get ready so that when it is time, it's literally a switch that we just flip and everything is already lined up. And we can't do any of that until we get together and meet and get the paperwork squared away, not so that we put it on the market right away, but just so that we have the agreement and my team can start going through and executing our home selling system, right? Whatever that is, whatever that terminology is. But that's it's one of those areas where it's great to have that marketing asset where you can show them a piece of paper that says, hey, look, this is our home launch blitz or whatever the case is. And here are the 20 things that we're going to do to get your home ready for the market, because you need that. Like, this is an area where if you had that in your hands, you could give that to them and say, look, this is the reason that we've got to get that agreement signed before the Super Bowl. If we wait and then we sign it and then we're scrambling to get it up, my staff is not going to be able to accomplish these things until 4 or 5 days, and we're losing a week. So if we get a sign now, they can start on all these things, and then we'll just set a target date for when we actually launch your home and put it up on the MLS and hold the open house. And we just call it a lightning strike and just say, look, we're going to pour all of our resources into that one date, and this is why. And then once they understand that, then you can get really to the issue of, is it you, and they're just not telling you that, or is it really a date, and they need to pick a target date, and then you just get the paperwork signed.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we do quite a bit is I say, okay, I understand you guys don't want to go on the market until after the 4th of July, after Super Bowl. But legally, I can't start marketing your home, and I want to do some pre-marketing for you. But legally, I can't do it until we sign the listing contract. So if you would be willing to sign the contract now, I can do some pre-marketing for you and let everyone know that we're going to be coming on after the Super Bowl, not to see it before. But I can really kind of get everybody, all hot and bothered about this great home that you have, and then we can hit the ground already, with wheels turning. Would that be okay with you? Would you be offended if we were to pre-market your home to get you a highest and best price?
That's a good line. Would you be offended if we wanted to pre-market your home? I like it. No, it's really good. As long as you don't say it tongue-in-cheek, like that'll actually be really effective.
Oh yeah, very effective. Because if they say yes, I'm going to be offended if you're working hard on my behalf, they sound like a douchebag. I'm just gonna. The douche is strong with them. The douche is strong with them.
All right, so last question. This is from Chuck Burnwriter in the lead gen scripts and objections group. Says, I have a listing in a gated golf community. The community itself still has 2 builders who are marketing the area. So there's still open land and builders who are trying to get people to build there. It's difficult to get traffic, but hope customers who visit the builder's property will come and visit my property. The builder just recently upped their price by 1.5%. Should I do the same thing? It's Chuck asking about what to do with the listing price of his home that's in that development.
Leave it alone, man. Those guys are going to sell your house.
They might. Yeah.
The buyers are going to come in and be like, more for that house, comparable home here. I'll buy this one. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, let them raise their prices. God, but give them a round of applause. Go bring them some cookies, because you know what? They just made you money. Those greedy bastards.
Okay.
Keep going, rock and roll.
Okay.
Because who knows if someone wants to, it could create a bidding war for you. You could get more than 1.5% potentially over what these other guys what they've raised their prices to, because buyers are seeing the value in you.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't touch it. Leave it alone. I would actually market that fact. Guys,
that's right.
Hey, we're 1.5% more affordable than this new construction over here. Come by us. We're the best deal in town. You builders.
I don't know if I put it quite that way. Dave is watching and says, actually make friends with the builders. Greg, I think what you're talking about is the opposite of that. But
I'm waging war on the builders.
Waging war. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. Your job is to get the home sold for your client, not to have a dick measuring contest of who has the highest priced home in the neighborhood. And, that's not your job. Your job is to sell the home. You looked at the market, you looked at the comps, you priced the property appropriately to the market comparables. Stick with the comparables. Don't have a one-up contest with a builder. I'm done with this. I wipe my hands of this.
I would also suggest one of the things that might be happening is if the home isn't pulling its own traffic from agents finding it on the MLS and coming specifically to see the house, then all other things set aside, builders, development, whatever, there may be something wrong with just the way that the home has been listed and positioned and photographed for the MLS, which is why people aren't going to specifically see that home rather than the new construction, right? So I would take a second look at the MLS and look at the photographs. Are they, is there a way that you can potentially frame the house in such a way so that you can't see a bunch of open land, or you can't see, like maybe there's vacant lots around that particular house. Maybe there's construction equipment that got in the background of the shot of the house. Maybe it's taken in the daytime when the house presents better at night, or in the, at dusk or whatever. Like there might be things that you can do to the MLS listing completely apart from anything else that has to do with the builder, the location, or anything that can pull in more traffic off the MLS just to go see that specific home.
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt. That's a very, very good point. There's a lot of different variables in there, guys. A lot of different variables. But, take it and go with it, guys. Just see what happens.
Yeah. And Michael Higdon, great question here. We'll finish up with this, Greg. How much of your pre-listing packet do you think sellers actually read?
Depends on what kind of personality type I would assume that they are. An SNSC would probably read it from top to bottom. You give me a long-winded listing presentation, I'm like, dude, just get to the point. Can you do it or not?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Fine. Let's go. I personally wouldn't read it.
Ds,
I would not read it.
Project, like we project. High Ds project our personality onto other people. Ds are what? What are we, 10% of the population? Let alone super high D, high I. I think we're even more rare than that. But most of the population is SC, 40%, right? So we don't think, like when we put something together, we think, oh, I'll never read that. 40% of the population isn't like you. Nothing like you.
Ugh, the atrocities in life.
Thank God, Greg.
Human trafficking and other
insufferable.
personality types. Ugh, just horrible things in life.
Yeah, so the other part of that is I like the thud factor. I think a pre-listing packet, whatever it is, should have that thud. You smack it down on the table and it has some heft to it, right? It should make a statement, just the fact that it exists, whether anybody ever opens it or not. Greg, I don't want to hear about your comments about girth. So help me God. All right, let's end the show. Greg says you are two smart mofos. Thank you, Glenn. We appreciate it. We know you're blowing a special brand of Glenn Twiddle smoke up our ass, but we appreciate it anyway.
We love you, Twiddle. We love you.
Anyway, guys, reach out. Make sure you grab a call on Greg's calendar if you want to talk about joining our team, plugging into our systems, getting early access to predictive seller leads, any of that good stuff. BookMcDaniel.com. If you want to speak to me about potentially what the next step is for your career or your real estate team, whether you're thinking about investing in coaching or buying somebody's program and you just need an impartial second opinion because of the relationships that we have and the inside knowledge that we have of all these other coaches and content producers out there, grab a call with me at 15.bookjohnson.com. Greg, shall we put a nice tidy bow on this one?
Yes, Johnson. Good Lord, it scared the shit out of me. Greg!
I got to wake you up. I can tell you're not paying attention.
I wasn't. All right, guys. Hey, Matt, like Matt and I say every single time, we absolutely have a love affair with you guys. You guys are absolutely some of the most incredible human beings on planet Earth because you guys are investing in yourselves. You guys want your own reality to become a better reality than it is now. So please share this show out there. Allow us to keep giving our information, our guests. Like we keep talking about our buddy Glenn. He's here with us. He comes on and just dumps massive, cool stuff. Gene, who comes on the Evil Bald Ninja every Friday with a tech tip. Guys, these are the people we run with, and these are the people we want to put in front of you on a consistent basis so you can be absolutely legendary in the industry. And we do this because we got so tired of seeing people, get fucked by large coaching organizations, no names given, but you know who I'm talking about. And they take all this information and they hoard it away, and they don't let you have it until they, rape you with a price for a coach on a monthly basis, and then you get someone out of bumfuck nowhere to coach you, and they're nothing like you. You guys are obviously like us. You're on the show. We have fun together. So that's why we do this, guys. We want to see you guys be just epic. We want to see you be unbelievable because we know that you are. All right, Matt. You're putting a bow on it, and I'm just going to say, peace out, ninjas!